Hello everyone and welcome to Starlight's vlog. I haven't done a vlog in a while because 2016 kind of finished really quickly and there was loads to do, and now Starlight is about to go to Japan for the second year running to teach channeling and run healing workshops and teach dimensional channeling, which I am so excited about teaching. I'm exploring it every day, and it's just so exciting, such an exciting way to channel. So we've had loads going on, but I haven't done a blog yet about the 5 elements of the soul course that we ran at the end of 2016, and I really wanted to do one because there was just so much that I personally got from that course. It was this incredible journey that was really led by the elements. I don't think I've ever done a course where you have felt so much of an energy come in. It's like we'd spend a week with each of the 5 elements, and when we were in that week, you could just feel that element with you constantly. I remember being in Earth Week and just feeling like I was buried for a week under this like really like heavy kind of earth energy. And there was some amazing magical moments for lots of people during it. Lots and lots of synchronicity. I remember when we came onto Water Week, I got taken by Kath's parents to this place that just had so much water. It had a lake and a dam and waterfalls, so many waterfalls, and it was like every type of water we'd been tuning into happened to be present on that day when we went for that day trip. And another thing that happened was live during one of the fire webinars, we had this real incredible moment where I was channeling the yin of fire, which is lava. So divine feminine fire is lava. And we were in the lava of our soul and in the yin of our soul. And there was an eruption in the journey. And literally the candle that I had lit erupted and created this like lava flow of wax all the way down the side, which I had to clean up. And so there was some real physical, beautiful, synchronistic moments with that course. Another girl had her pipes burst during Water Week in her house, and yeah, there was some very fun moments of the elements gently nudging us and letting us know that they were with us. But really, this journey was about what was going on the inside, and it was less about communing with the elements outside of us and more about connecting to them within us. So the elements of our own soul, the elements of our own personality. And I personally learned so much about myself by looking at myself from an element perspective. The course was very intense, so it would build up. Each week you'd spend a week with one element solidly, and the energy of that element would build up. So at the start of the week you'd be really, really like happy to be in the new element, and then by the end of the week you were really in the intensity of that element. And the final webinar would be for each element would really be about exploring the shadow of the element, which is when there is too much of something when you're working with the elements. So if you're in too much water or too much fire or too much air, and then the medicine for being in too much of an element is to bring in the next element in the medicine wheel in. And so it would kind of build up until you were in the shadow of that element. And I just learned so much about how to translate my reactions to things and my feeling out of control in areas, or feeling overwhelmed. I suddenly could, it was like filtering it through the elements of my soul. I suddenly understood so much of what was kind of happening to me energetically when I was feeling anxious, or when I was feeling depressed, or if I was feeling manic, because anxiety, depression, mania, addiction, victim, these are all all shadow of certain elements. They are all when you have too much of an element. And being able to kind of go, oh, okay, I'm not anxious, I've just got too much air, was really liberating for me, because it was just like, okay, not only do I know what's going on an energetic level, but this course has also given me the medicine to then go, well, I know that next in the medicine wheel is earth. And I know that if I'm in the shadow of air, all I need to do is invite myself to ground, and invite myself to be balanced by these ancestral grandparent elements of which I am made from, and of which I am on a soul level, and just allow them to balance within me. And so it was so empowering, and gave me so much insight and beauty into myself, and so much respect for the elements, and how much we can change ourselves by working with them, and by listening to them, and by exploring them and spending time with them. So it was a really incredible journey that has left me with more tools than I think I could have ever imagined from a 5-week course. And they're tools that I'm using all the time. This is the thing that's really amazing for me. So I am a new driver. I am a Londoner. And I did not learn to drive when I was younger. I only learned to drive 2 years ago, and then didn't have a car, and you can't rent a car for 2 years. So the only times I have driven have been once straight after I passed my test in America, and then once in Ibiza, both of which were in an automatic, both of which were on the other side of the road, and both of which I didn't do very well at driving, because I was nervous and inexperienced, and new cars and all of this stuff. And so I'd built up this real thing about driving, and I'd convinced myself that I was a bad driver and I couldn't drive, and I was really, really stressed about driving. And yet I knew that I had to get over this driving thing, because Starlight does too much things that take us to obscure places where we need singing bowls and drums and crystals, and it's just been a nightmare trying to do it on public transport or rely on people to drive us, because we need to be able to make the decisions about when we're leaving, etc. And so I was really determined to move past this driving thing, and decided that I was going to drive to Avebury for our Avebury journey, because it's been 2 years and I can rent a car now. And I got to Avebury. Well, no, sorry, we rented the car, and I was terrible. It was terrible. It was a car that was a manual with an automatic handbrake, and I was just like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this car, and I can't drive, and everything's awful, and I'm gonna kill me and Kat. And so I was really, really panicked and stressed. And we actually rented the car the day the Elements course finished, and so it was kind of still with me. And I'd done all of this work on how to you know, how to shift out of the shadow of an element. But I went straight into my third dimensional mode of panic. I can't drive. Everything's going to be awful. This is awful. And then that night, after having an awful drive around Brighton, that night, I was lying there just in bits, being like, I am not going to be able to drive to Avebury and then to Shropshire and then back. This is a disaster. I don't know what to do. I'm in such panic. And then suddenly I remembered the element course. And I was like, okay, so what element is this? And clearly, because we'd spent so long with the shadow of each element and submerged ourselves so much with the light and with the shadow of each element, I knew exactly what the symptoms of this was, which was anxiety. And I was like, this is too much air. I've got too much air. And so I was like, okay, just ground yourself. Yeah, that's what you need to do. You need to get in the car tomorrow and you need to ground yourself and come out of the shadow of air and let the element of earth and your body pull you back down from where this air shadow is taking you. And then I remembered the ceremony at the end of the course, which was about clearing consciousness. And so I just lay in bed and applied all 5 of the elements, so air, earth, fire, water, and love, and I applied them all to clear out all of my consciousness around driving. And there was so much stuff there. There was even belief systems there that at one point when I was younger, I felt loved by people who affectionately used to say, oh God, you'll be a terrible driver. So there was a part of me that was getting my identity as a good friend and as somebody who is loved by affectionate, jokey people. I was getting part of I was holding on to part of that with my identity and stuff like that. And the elements just took me to it. They just showed me everything, where it all was, and we cleared it all. And the drive to Avebury was like a different person driving. There were a couple of times where I made mistakes, but I didn't panic on those mistakes. I wasn't scared. I was actually enjoying driving, which for me was like amazing, because driving was always torture. And so I was actually enjoying driving and in my power and in my center. And literally my driving clicked into place on that drive. And then drove around Avebury, doing all kinds of new driving, like in the dark and stuff that I'd never really done before. And then from there drove to Shropshire. So this was a long, long drive. And then on the way back, we were going to stay at a friend's house in Bristol to break up the drive between Shropshire and Brighton, which is a massive drive. And we couldn't do that. And so we had to we decided, they cancelled at the last minute. And so we decided to drive all the way from Shropshire to Brighton, which is about, because we were doing A roads, it was about 8 hours in total. And about halfway, I started to lose it a bit and was like, oh my God, I can't do this. And I'm panicking and I'm stressed out and I'm starting to lose my way in my head, and I'm starting to feel panicky and anxiety-ish about this again. And so I was like, Kath, we need to stop. And we stopped and we pulled up at a random pub in this beautiful but random village. And I ordered a cup of tea. And then I went to the toilet. And the toilet, it makes me emotional. The toilet wallpaper was covered in dragonflies, which was the symbol for the 5 elements of the soul course. And I was just like, oh my gosh, the elements, it's okay. The element, the symbol for the course is here. And it's reminding me just to connect to the elements. And again, I was just like, okay, too much air. Go into And there were so many other breakthroughs on that course. Like, I'm talking about anxiety, but you know what? I've experienced the shadow of all of the elements. I've experienced the shadow of earth massively, which is depression. And it's actually amazing because that is onomatopoeic. It's deep press on. I've experienced the shadow of water, which is overcycling. So it's either victim consciousness or addiction, massively. I've experienced probably the biggest shadow is fire, because fire is my most comfortable element. So I have a tendency to move too much into it, which is mania. I've experienced the shadow of love, which is overgiving of yourself and martyrdom. And I've experienced them all in big major ways. But what this course showed me is the little ways that I carry those habits. And what this course showed me is that it's actually really easy to recognize them, to identify them, and then rebalance yourself. And for that, I am eternally grateful to my guides for taking me on this journey with the elements of my soul, because I just feel so much more empowered in my everyday understanding of myself. And I feel like I am the master of things that I wasn't always the master of, that were hard things to deal with in my life. So I'm really, really grateful. And I can drive now, which is brilliant. So that was kind of the end of the year. It was kind of a journey of becoming your own shaman. I will do a vlog about Avebury before we go to Japan, because that was amazing in itself. But I really wanted to share about the Elements course because, yeah, I have no words for all of the things it has given me. And it's still available. It's one of those things that was designed for anybody to do anytime they feel called. And so the group stays open. The course of it is always available for anybody that wants to sign up to it. And I'm so happy that that course is available because, yeah, it's really, really, really helped me become a shaman in my own life as well as in my work. And yeah, it's been a magical journey, magical end to the year. And yes, very, very happy to have learned how to drive thanks to the elements of my soul. Thank you for listening. I love you all, and I'm going to try my best to do some vlogs from Japan.